Ethan cheated. We had been together for 7 years. Married for 4. In the end, he couldn't resist the novelty of a younger woman's fresh admiration. The night I discovered his infidelity, I sat by the window until dawn, plotting revenge. If she destroyed my marriage, I'd ruin her academic future. His betrayal would cost him every penny and shred of happiness. No one would escape unscathed. When Ethan came downstairs, I'd just finished viewing Vivian's latest social media post through a burner account. The youthful girl wore a white blouse and denim skirt, radiating adolescent energy with her caption frowny face date night. Let's go. My gaze shifted to him, same white shirt, same jeans. Even at 30-something, he maintained that college student allure. Clearly, their outfits were coordinated. He approached me, gently ruffling my hair. Heading out. He smiled. I couldn't deny Ethan's looks. That handsome face had blinded me initially, especially when he smiled with such tenderness. Now it only tasted like ashes. I smiled back, watching him leave. This would be our last civil interaction. By tonight, his composure would shatter. 6 months of meticulous planning would ensure we all drowned in this tsunami of consequences. My laughter caught in my throat, tears betraying me. 11 years of pouring my soul into this relationship. He'd failed me 6 months ago. The day I noticed something wrong had been utterly ordinary. We were sharing our usual dinner, that cherished hour when busy professionals reconnect. But he kept glancing at his phone, lips twitching with suppressed smiles. Whatever's so urgent? I finally snapped, chopsticks clattering against my bowl. Recognizing my irritation, he pocketed the device. Just the team working late, he soothed, serving me the fish eyeball he knew I loved. Let's enjoy our meal. That night we followed our normal routine: dinner, conversation, bed. But I lay awake until 3 a.m. Then crept to his phone. We'd always trusted each other, knew each other's passwords, yet never snooped. Until now. Curled in his study's leather armchair, I scrolled through damning evidence, hotel reservations masquerading as business trips, jewelry receipts for pieces I'd never received, and endless messages to Vivi filled with heart emojis and pet names. My hands shook as I screenshot every transaction, every confession of love, every plan to leave me after I'd served my purpose in advancing his career. The grandfather clock chimed 5 as I returned the phone, his breathing still even in sleep. In the pale dawn light, I studied my husband of 4 years, this stranger I'd built a life with. Then I walked to my home office and began transferring funds. The chat interface showed no new messages. The project group chat had been quiet since dinner. I scrolled through my contacts list. Ethan's name remained pinned at the top. As I kept scrolling, a Minnie Mouse avatar caught my eye. I tapped it, only to find our chat history completely empty, not even the initial greeting from when we first connected. Opening the profile, I began scrolling through the brightly curated feed documenting her vibrant life: brunch photos, sunset selfies, gym check-ins. Among posts from 2 months ago, my breath caught at a familiar angular profile. The caption read, "Interviewed my idol today. So proud of my amazing mentor who's been inspiring me since college." The office backdrop could have been coincidental. My trembling fingers kept scrolling. A group photo from a university's anniversary gala made my stomach drop. I remembered Ethan mentioning the alumni speech invitation. I'd been traveling for work that weekend, but we'd spent hours reminiscing about campus days over the phone. Now I realized this event had been their meeting ground. Connecting timelines became torture. The day she posted about that trendy ramen spot? He'd claimed overtime at the office. Her rooftop restaurant reel? A client dinner. Even the artisanal croissants he'd proudly brought home matched her bakery post. I photographed every digital breadcrumb before replacing his phone exactly as found. Curling into the bay window's cold corner, I hugged my knees as silent tears fell. 11 years since we first met in the campus cafeteria line. 7 years dating. 4 years married. The memory played like cruel film reel, freshman me giggling at the handsome work-study student getting scolded by the lunch lady. "Stop giving extra portions," she'd chided. while grateful students winked at flustered Ethan behind the sneeze guard. That earnest boy who blushed at being called cutie now left digital fingerprints across another woman's social media. The winter moonlight mocked our matching promise tattoos, twin compasses sworn to never lose true north. Icy numbness spread through my limbs, yet my mind burned with forensic clarity, assembling timelines from cupcake photos and alumni tags. 13 years of inside jokes now curdled into evidence. Watching Ethan fumble awkwardly trying to flip the spatula while the lunch lady sighed beside us, I couldn't help but smirk. That afternoon, our paths crossed again at the library. We reached for the same book from opposite aisles, our hands freezing mid-air as we stared at each other in surprise. Without his mask, his sharp jawline caught me off guard. My brain short-circuited to a single thought, holy shit. He's gorgeous. Time seemed to suspend as we stood there. Before I could recover, he gestured for me to take the book, grabbed another title, and walked away without a word. The silent dismissal stung. Here I was, campus royalty with my signature bombshell curls, being brushed off like yesterday's newspaper. Dinner found me glaring at his cafeteria station, secretly hoping to catch him messing up orders again. Karma had other plans. 2 hours later, we became debate club rookies together. That's how I learned his name, Ethan. When he bolted after the meeting, some primal instinct made me chase him down the hallway. Ethan. He turned, backlit by sunset streaming through the windows. My breath hitched as golden light haloed his tousled brown hair. What's up? His voice rumbled like a bassline. I sauntered closer, grinning like the Cheshire Cat. 3 times in one day. Ethan. You know what they say, first's coincidence, second's happenstance, third's stalker behavior? His lips quirked even as he checked his watch. Look, Emily. My shift starts in 10. Later. That night at his register, he served me double portions of honey-glazed chicken without comment. Our unspoken truce began stolen glances during study sessions, accidental coffee runs, until 3 months later when he shoved a star-shaped bracelet at me outside my dorm. Emily. His Adam's apple bobbed. Be my girlfriend. I made him clasp the trembling chain around my wrist 3 times before it clicked. His shaky laughter warmed my neck as we embraced under streetlights. Through all-nighters and graduation chaos, startup failures and wedding vows, we grew together. I molded him from awkward cafeteria worker to sharp-suited entrepreneur with biceps that filled his dress shirts just right. Now some perky undergrad from our alma mater thought she could pluck this perfected specimen? Dawn found me scrolling through the girls' Instagram. Vivian, per her debate team tags. Freshman glow. Smart enough to land the alumni interview gig. My fingers hovered over Ethan's contact as sunrise painted my office gold. Babe? Sleep-rough vocals melted through my speaker. Where'd you vanish? Early investor call. My thumb traced our wedding photo on the desk. Eat something decent. Yeah? The lie tasted bitter. But after 12 years of crafting our perfect life, I'll be damned if I let some wide-eyed ingenue reap what I sowed. Yeah. I love you. We're used to saying I love you before hanging up the phone. Used to sharing everything with each other. And used to seeing each other early in the morning. But how did things go off track? I propped my head up with both hands, my fingertips unconsciously tugging at my hair. I let out a pained sigh and tried hard to calm myself down. Then I sent the girl's photo to someone I knew to conduct an investigation. Life went on as usual. Ethan never had another episode like that night again. But I still didn't feel secure at all. It wasn't until I saw the girl's information that the stone in my heart finally rippled. The detective was very responsible. And the girl's profile was very detailed. Vivian Harper is from the neighboring city. Her parents are teachers at a key high school. She's been an excellent student since childhood. She's a junior majoring in computer science at university and is Ethan's direct junior. My hunch was confirmed. The profile included photos of Ethan and the girl together at a trendy restaurant, a revolving restaurant, and a coffee shop downstairs from Ethan's company. In the photos, the two of them didn't have any intimate gestures, but they somehow looked very harmonious together. I suddenly wanted to meet this girl. Just a few days ago, I received an invitation from my graduate school tutor to go back for a sharing session and an interview. On the day of the sharing session, accompanied by the tutor and the department head, I shared some cases with the students. And it went very well. After it was over, the tutor specially arranged for a school newspaper interview. At that time, I casually mentioned, I heard from Ethan that the little journalist who interviewed him last time was quite good. So, the tutor specifically arranged for Vivian to come. She followed my entire sharing session. When the teacher mentioned the sweet things between Ethan and me, her face obviously looked a bit embarrassed. I smiled and greeted her. And then deliberately mentioned, I read the interview you did with my husband last time. It was very well written. I'm looking forward to an even better one for this interview. The girl's hand tightened on her handbag, and the sparkle in her eyes from the photos was gone. After the rather dull interview ended, I had a meal with the teacher and several students, including Vivian. I don't know why she didn't choose to avoid it. At the dinner table, with my guidance, the tutor mentioned several times the things Ethan and I did in school, like how we led the school debate team to win the college debate championship together, and how Ethan often attended classes with me. I watched Vivian's face turn paler and paler, and suddenly I felt that bullying this little girl was just so boring. That night when I got home, Ethan was sitting on the sofa waiting for me, holding his phone. When he saw me coming back, he came up to me and asked, How was it at your alma mater today? Why didn't you tell me there was a school newspaper interview? It seemed that the little girl had told on me. I pretended not to know anything and glanced at him. The tutor said the sharing session went well. The interview was all arranged by the tutor. Hey, how did you know there was a school newspaper interview? His smile froze for a moment. Then he answered nonchalantly. The little journalist who interviewed you is the same one who interviewed me. She added me on WeChat when she interviewed me last time. After interviewing you, she specifically told me that we were a perfect match. The little girl has good taste. I smiled as I watched him lie and probed. The little girl didn't add me on WeChat. It seems that in her eyes, Senior Ethan has a special status. After hearing my words, the arm around me stiffened a bit. For a moment, he tightened his arms around me and shook me. Is my wife jealous? I'm so happy you're jealous. But she probably added me just because I'm her direct senior. You have to trust me. As he said that, he rubbed his head against my neck and shoulder, with obvious intentions. But deep down, I really wanted to expose everything and confront him about why he betrayed me. But my reason didn't allow it. At present, apart from those ambiguous photos, I had no evidence at all. We had been so sweet for these 11 years. And he had been so good to me that my parents liked him more than me and my friends trusted him. No one around me thought he was bad or would have an affair. If I made a scene now, I'd be the one who suffered. The anger in my heart was like a wild running horse, uncontrollably wanting to burst out. But I just couldn't find an outlet. I wanted to tear the smile off his face. But in the end, I just said I was tired and fled to the bathroom. That night, I suddenly woke up again in the early morning. Looking at the person sleeping beside me, I really wanted to kill him. I quietly picked up his phone and opened Vivian's profile again. The chat box was still empty. He was either overly cautious or overly confident that I wouldn't look at his phone. The latest WeChat Moments post was from the evening, with a happy selfie and the caption frowny face feeling comforted. Happy. And the previous post was after interviewing me in the afternoon. Just a simple line frowny face very sad. I guessed that the person who comforted the little girl was Ethan. Did they comfort each other via voice or text? What did they say? My head ached so much. And my heart hurt so bad that my hand holding the phone was trembling. I sat there silently until the sun rose again without him knowing. The next day, I received the first draft of the little girl's interview article in my email. It was really good. And I replied with an okay. Neither of us mentioned adding each other on WeChat yesterday. And the little girl was really patient. However, the detective gave me a WeChat account with a smiling avatar that had already added Vivian. Every day, I felt like a peeping Tom, constantly checking Vivian's WeChat moments. I hated my own behavior. Gradually, I became numb, indifferent, and didn't care anymore. The day before, her WeChat moments was updated with frowny face looking forward to the amusement park tomorrow. The next day, I acted like a crazy person and followed them. Ethan changed out of his suit from the morning and put on a sweatshirt that matched the girls. I watched them holding hands and having fun from just a few meters away. The little girl was very good at being coquettish. She would shake Ethan's hand while giving him a sweet look and saying things I couldn't hear. I guessed she was asking him to go on the roller coaster with her. I thought Ethan would refuse. 8 years ago, when we went to the amusement park and I forced him to go on the roller coaster, he vomited afterward and swore never to go on it again. But I was wrong. He smiled, ruffled the little girl's hair, and went on it with her. I watched the roller coaster speeding by and listened to the screams, constantly telling myself that I had to get revenge on them. After getting off the roller coaster, even though Ethan's face was pale and his lips were bloodless, he was still gently comforting the self-blaming little girl. I followed them, watched them wear Mickey and Minnie hairbands together, watched Ethan gently wipe the ice cream off Vivian's lips, and watched them walk hand in hand. Finally, at a certain moment or after building up enough emotion, I just stood still and couldn't follow them anymore. I stood there, letting the passing tourists look at me, pass by me, or even bump into me, until a 4 or 5-year-old little girl came up to me with a tissue and said, "Auntie, don't cry." I looked down at her, but my vision was blurry. Only then did I realize that my face was covered in tears. I took the tissue and thanked her with a smile. That smile must have looked worse than crying. The little girl seriously criticized me. "Auntie, you're so pretty. It's not nice to cry." Yeah, I'm so pretty. But Ethan has really lost his conscience. I don't want to find out why he had an affair and broke his promise. I just want to extricate myself. Life is so long. It's only been 11 years. And I'm only 30. My life is far from over. I turned around and left. I don't want him anymore. But he has to pay the price. After returning home, I gradually calmed down. From the night I first sensed something was off about him to this moment. 2 weeks of forced desensitization therapy, constantly observing their interactions, had allowed sufficient disappointment to overwrite our past sweetness. I organized all movable and immovable assets. As a finance major, I'd managed all family investments and planned to legally plunge our household into debt within 6 months. The real challenge was Ethan's company. He'd started this venture during grad school, and after 7 years with multiple funding rounds, it now stood on the brink of IPO. Yet during this critical period, he'd recklessly developed feelings for another. Vivian's position in his heart must be extraordinary. Whether he'd deliberately chosen her despite consequences or assumed I'd tolerate her existence remained unclear. When Ethan returned late wearing his morning suit instead of the amusement park outfit, I marveled at his seamless transitions. He embraced me on the couch, his scent unchanged yet suddenly repulsive. As he mumbled about overtime exhaustion, my hidden glare burned with betrayal. Playing my role, I casually mentioned an investment opportunity from a mentor. "Handle it as you see fit." He smiled, oblivious as I systematically drained our liquid assets and mortgaged properties under the guise of investments. The day I received photos of their street kiss, I infiltrated Vivian's circle. My plants encouraged her luxury cravings and social climbing, watching Ethan fund her spiraling materialism until I'd elevated her to precarious heights. When hotel surveillance photos arrived, our household assets had already zeroed out. With Ethan's personal funds depleted, I manipulated Vivian into coaxing him to buy her property, forcing him to dip into company reserves. Later, as they toured their love nest, I plotted to oust him during final funding negotiations. The thought of him losing his 7-year child brought grim satisfaction. We continued our Oscar-worthy marital performance, sharing affection, honoring commitments, maintaining trust. Only I knew the truth behind our staged embraces. This morning, dressed in his crisp white shirt and jeans, Ethan would soon receive divorce papers and asset freeze notices. Vivian would get her marital fund recovery lawsuit. though my strategic maneuvers limited recoverable assets to around $300,000. After Ethan left, I packed his belongings with 6 months pent-up fury. His coded entry failed at our fingerprint-scrubbed door. Through the security monitor, I watched his initial irritation crumble into defeated pacing. When my phone finally rang after prolonged silence, his voice cracked, "Emily, let's talk. Lawyers will handle everything." The line went dead as he slumped against our door. My heart ached watching the man I'd loved for 11 years through youth to adulthood. Naivety to maturity reduced to this. "I don't want divorce." His muffled plea came. "See you in court, Ethan." I hung up, observing his stunned freeze frame through the camera. Separated by one door, I lay sleepless while he kept vigil outside. What haunted him? Remorse? Self-loathing? Resentment? At dawn, I found him struggling to stand. "We're done. Vivian's returning the house and $300,000. Don't even think about reimbursing her every cent's frozen pre-divorce. Our current net worth? Debt. You'll keep 60% company shares, my 40% stands." Debt? His head snapped up. Our cash flow was strong. The financial reality finally pierced his self-absorption. I smiled coldly. Every transferred asset. Every manipulated transaction. Every legal maneuver flashed before me. Let the numbers speak their brutal truth. The investment failed, but everything was legally sound and verifiable. The lawyer will provide you with detailed statements during the handover. He suddenly smirked sarcastically. "You've been planning this for a long time, haven't you? Always so rational and self-absorbed." Seeing the mockery in Ethan's eyes and hearing his accusations, my anger finally erupted. "Yes, I'm self-absorbed, Ethan. For 11 years, I remained completely faithful to you and this marriage. You're the one who destroyed everything I built. Do you know I've seen your anniversary photos with her? The profile shots she took of you? Watched you dress younger to match her style? Found pictures of you kissing, checking into hotels, holding hands on dates? I even followed you to the amusement park and stood 3 feet away sobbing while you entertained her. You're a monster. I never imagined we'd end like this." My voice shook. "I'm petty, Ethan. Hear this: I won't let either of you have peace. Get out." Like a madwoman, I dragged the stunned man to the door and shoved him out before collapsing against it, howling with rage and grief. Through the wood, I heard his muffled "I'm sorry." What good did that do now? The lawyers executed our strategy perfectly. First resolving the lawsuit against Vivian. After submitting evidence of Vivian's misconduct to a university, I awaited her disciplinary action. Given Ethan and I weren't nobodies in finance and tech circles, every salacious version of our divorce spread like wildfire. His company's funding stalled, and the disgraced Vivian became untouchable in our professional world. My parents' call marked my first moment of doubt since initiating divorce. They adored Ethan, remembered his favorite foods, little habits. Every homecoming feast featured his preferred dishes. They bragged to neighbors about their perfect son-in-law, devoted, family-oriented, so good to our Emily. Now I dreaded their disappointment. "Mom?" My throat tightened. "Sweetheart, did you eat dinner?" Her usual cheer was muted. No questions about the divorce. No pleas for reconciliation. Just, "Should Dad and I come stay with you?" Tears welled up. "I'm sorry I failed at marriage. You loved him so much. And now, listen here." Her voice firmed. "That man wasn't worthy. We only liked him because he made you happy." The minute he stopped, he meant nothing. Reputation? Who cares? Our daughter matters most. Dad's voice rumbled in the background. "Do what you need to, kiddo. We've got you." Their unconditional support steadied me for the first time in 6 months. The golden child who never disappointed them was getting divorced. Yet they rushed cross-country to care for me, refusing all pleas from Ethan's family to keep things quiet. The lawsuit progressed smoothly. Vivian complied with the court order to repay funds. A university expelled her after their investigation, a promising scholar's career destroyed. The day after final judgment, she demanded a meeting. The once vibrant graduate now faced me with bitter resentment. I almost pitied her. Satisfied? Vivian spat. My degree's gone. I worked so hard for a university. You did this to yourself. I said calmly. I love him. He loves me too. Her voice rose hysterically. Expel me if you want. Ethan promised to take care of me. So what if you were married 11 years? He's happy with me. I was content being his secret. But you filing for divorce? Thank you. I stared. Reassessing this girl I'd once considered clever. So you wanted to be his mistress? Her face flushed crimson. As she sputtered. I stood. Since we're still legally married, I could technically help my husband take a concubine. Stay tuned. Within days, banners appeared outside Vivian's apartment and her parents' workplace. The Harpers teach virtues while their daughter seduces married men. Official concubine recruitment now open. The viral shame sent her father to the hospital with angina. Vivian returned home to parental condemnation and neighborhood scorn as the scandal trended online. Meanwhile, my lawyers recovered our house and $3 million cash. The asset preservation order froze Ethan's funds, forcing Vivian to sell all luxury goods and borrow $2 million. Ethan scrambled to cover the remaining $1 million debt I documented as his post-divorce responsibility. Chaos engulfed both lovers. Our prolonged divorce proceedings paralyzed Ethan's company funding. He resisted finalizing settlements, unable to prove asset concealment but drowning in liabilities. Vivian raged about broken promises, her ruined reputation, absent support during her father's hospitalization. The man who'd been her ticket to excitement now represented only constraints. When investors finally demanded resolution, Ethan capitulated. He accepted the divorce terms, though insisting I could only sell my company shares back to him. Thus, the once rising tech star became a man drowning in tens of millions of debt, his fresh start costing everything. He thought he had saved the company. Little did he know I'd already used my investment connections to sabotage his final funding round, conspiring with other shareholders to push him out. When the financing closed and he was forced to leave, I made sure to witness his exit. Watching Ethan carry that cardboard box through his former office, past the workstations he'd once commanded, across the battlefield he'd built from scratch, the satisfaction wasn't as sweet as I'd imagined. On our NASDAQ listing day, no one mentioned the founder Ethan during the bell-ringing ceremony. Some might remember, but corporate amnesia works fast. I often wondered if he watched from some shadowed corner, seeing his brainchild slip away like sand through fingers. After wrapping up loose ends, I took that African safari we'd always postponed. Those hopeful children in tattered clothes. The thunderous wildebeest migration across Serengeti, dust standing in that primal vastness. I finally released our 11-year entanglement. Good or bad? It was history now. The next time Ethan's name surfaced was at a tech summit 2 years later. His new venture was floundering. They said uncompetitive product. Investors fleeing. Debts mounting. When we crossed paths at a pitch event, he was the desperate founder in ill-fitting Armani. That suit I'd bought him hung loose on gaunt shoulders, while I held court as the investor everyone wanted to impress. Our eyes met across champagne flutes, strangers exchanging blank stares. I noticed him clutching his stomach, that old ulcer from our startup days flaring up again. How ironic that the same stomach I'd nursed back to health with bone broths and 3 a.m. massages now suffered from Vivian's neglect. Later, I watched through tinted windows as that pale slip of a girl helped him into a taxi. Let them have each other. Back from vacation, my team briefed me on their downward spiral. The Harpers retired early to escape embarrassment while Vivian dropped out to play devoted startup girlfriend. When old associates offered to keep the pressure on, I declined. Between his embezzlement scandal funding, that mistress's lifestyle, and the breakneck pace of tech innovation, Ethan's fate was sealed. Let them rot in obscurity. A warm hand closed over mine. What's so fascinating? I turned to the man in my passenger seat, our fingers intertwining, just admiring the view. His answering smile could power solar panels. Ethan wasn't wrong. Youth does bring certain vigor. The Lamborghini's engine purred as we merged onto the Pacific Coast Highway. Salt wind whipping through hair that would never gray from counting pennies. Let them keep their tragic love story. I've upgraded to a better sequel.